All right, welcome. Today we're diving into something that is a huge deal in modern Java development, how our apps talk to databases. We're going to see how Spring Boot just completely flips the script on this.
So if you've ever written code, you know this feeling, right? That constant fight, the headache of just getting things set up, trying to get your application and your database to even talk to each other. It can be a real battle.
And this is why. In the old days, it meant writing just pages and pages of repetitive code. You're trying to manage connections, handle all sorts of exceptions, manually write out statements. It's not just boring, it's a total minefield for bugs, and it just grinds your progress to a halt. But here's the thing. What if you could just get rid of all of that? What if connecting to your database was as easy as, say, writing 3 little lines in a config file? Well, there is a better way, and that's exactly what we're about to unpack. Okay, so before we jump into the shiny new solution, let's do a quick deep dive into the problem itself. You gotta understand the before to really get why the after is so amazing.
And wow, this really says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the old way, a messy block of manual JDBC setup code, a total nightmare. And on the right, that's the Spring way, clean, simple, and it boils down to just 3 properties. This isn't just a small tweak, it's a completely different world.
So let's break that down. What was so bad about the old JDBC way? First, it's all that boilerplate code you write again and again. Second, your code gets handcuffed to one specific database's SQL. And third, all that manual work is just asking for bugs and makes the code a pain to maintain later on. Okay, so enough about the problem. Let's talk about the hero of our story, Spring Boot. This is where things get really good. You know, the whole idea behind Spring Boot is to make your life easier. It has this incredible feature called auto-configuration, where it's smart enough to look at the libraries you're using and just sets up all the boring stuff for you. It's built to work seamlessly with databases like MySQL, and it gives you one single central place to manage all your settings.
And this is what it looks like in practice. It's just so clean. Your database URL, your username, your password, everything lives right here in this one file, application.properties. No more hunting through your code to find where you put the connection string.
Okay, super important warning here though. I can't stress this enough. As simple as this file is, you should never, ever save things like passwords directly into your code. The right way to do it is to use environment variables or a secrets manager, which, by the way, Spring Boot also makes really easy to work with.
All right, connecting is one thing, but now we get to the real magic. This is the part that changes everything. We're not just talking about how to connect anymore. We're talking about changing how we work with data itself. So let's talk about JPA, the Java Persistence API. Think of it like this. It's a shield. It stands between you and the database. So instead of writing all that complicated SQL, you get to treat your database tables like they're just normal Java objects in your code. It's a total separation of concerns. And the tech that makes this possible is called ORM, or Object Relational Mapping. The best way to think about it, it's like a universal translator. It takes your Java object code, like creating a new book object, and it translates that into the SQL that the database understands, all behind the scenes. So how do you actually do this? Well, it's incredibly simple. You start with a plain old Java object, what we call a POJO. In this case, a book. Then you just sprinkle in a few annotations. @entity tells JPA, hey, this is a database table, and @id just points out which field is the primary key.
And you're pretty much done.
Okay, now watch this, because this part feels like cheating, but it's not. You create an interface, you have it extend JPA repository, and you tell it 2 things: what object it's for, book, and the data type of the ID, long. That's it. You write 0 implementation code. Spring Data JPA just, poof, generates all the methods to find, save, and delete data for you. And the payoff for all of that is this. 1 line. All that SQL, all that connection management, all that error handling, gone. Replaced by 1 single, easy-to-read line of code. This is an absolutely massive boost for productivity. So now that we've made talking to the database ridiculously easy, what's next? Well, building an actual web API on top of it becomes a total breeze. And we're going to build what's called a REST API. You've probably heard the term. It's basically the standard rulebook for how services talk to each other on the web. It uses the basic commands of the internet, get, post, put, and delete, to manage data in a really predictable way.
And the rules are super straightforward. You use get when you want to read data, you use post to create something new, put is for updating something that's already there, and delete, well, that one's pretty obvious. It's the basic create, read, update, delete operations that power almost every app.
Now, a good API doesn't just do things. It clearly tells you what happened. And it does that using these standard status codes. 200 means everything's okay. 201 means I successfully created that new thing you asked for. And the 400s and 500s are crucial for telling the person using your API what went wrong.
And here it is. This is where everything we've talked about comes together beautifully. That @posting annotation links a web request directly to this Java method. Inside, we use our super simple bookrepository.save method. Then we wrap it all up in a response entity, which lets us send back both the data and the correct status code, 201 created. It's so clean. So let's just recap. We saw how Spring Boot, with JPA, takes this incredibly complex, error-prone task and just makes it simple. It lets you stop wrestling with the database and start focusing on what really matters, your app's actual features. So the real question is, with all this power and simplicity, what amazing thing are you going to build next?